Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, June 13, 2018. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around the nation. I'm your news anchor Jaden Mount, and Haley White will be along later with sports. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Fort Hays State University announced it will be closing the on-campus university bookstore next week. The announcement came in an email from Vice President of Student Affairs Joey Lynn to faculty and staff. The email read, quote, "Starting with the fall 2018 term, Fort Hays State University will be launching a new online bookstore for all textbooks and course materials, while the campus store will be revamped into a spirit store that sells branded merchandise, school supplies, and other items," end quote. Mike Barnett, Vice President of Administration and Finance, said the decision to institute an online bookstore is to provide lower costs to FHSU students.
Most students are already purchasing online, and with the company that we decided to go with, Academus, their model is kind of I call it the progressive insurance model, where they will do price comparisons for students at Amazon and Chegg and other places, on other online book services, and then allow students to purchase at the most efficient, most cost-effective book that they can find.
College tuition has continued to rise in Kansas and throughout the country. Barnett believes lowering the cost of, quote, materials required for class, end quote, will save students in the long run. The closing of the FHSU University bookstore will pin Tiger Bookshop, located across the road from Picken Hall, as the closest and only physical bookstore in Hays. No comment has been made by that business. On August 7th, registered Republican voters in the 1st District of Ellis County will cast their votes for one of two candidates. Incumbent Commissioner Marcy McCullen will face former Ellis County Health Administrator Robert Butch Shire in the Republican primary race. Schuyler served as the department head for 4 months short of 23 years prior to retiring.
We know the community very well. We know the feel of the community. We know many of the residents, and thought it was just time to run for county commission.
Schuyler and McKellen will face off in the primary, with the winner going on the ballot for November's general election. Schuyler says what separates them is not the party ideals, but their individual personalities and experiences.
Being that I was already in a leadership position in the county for 23 years, and I've served on the management team for those years, I'm familiar with all of the departments, all 15 of them. I'm familiar with all of the department heads with one exception, and I know the county employees. I know the issues that affect the county, and I've just had a lot more experience within the county as opposed to Marcy.
If you are a registered voter in the Republican Party and live in the 1st District, you will be able to cast your vote for either Schuyler or McKellen on Tuesday, August 7th. For more information on voting in your area, please contact your local Kansas Department of the Treasurer Office. The cost of obtaining a 4-year college degree in Kansas will continue to grow if proposals pass the Kansas Board of Regents. On May 20th, the Regents received increased tuition proposals from the 6 public universities in the state for the 2018-19 academic year. All of the proposals increased tuition costs from 1.1% at Kansas State University in Manhattan to 2.8% in the University of Kansas in Lawrence. Fort Hays' tuition costs for undergraduate and graduate students will increase 2.5% if the proposal passes. Mike Barnett, FHSU Vice President of Administration and Finance, said the increase will cover university expenses.
What that covers is the continuing inflationary increases in various operating expenses. Employee benefits, health insurance costs continues to go up. I think this year it's running about 7% increase for health insurance costs that we pay as a part of the employee's compensation package. So that, along with a small increase in utility costs and just general inflation running about 2.4 for the year.
Though FHSU has increased in enrollment and now is the 3rd largest Regent school in the state, the growing number has also resulted in some increased expenses Revenue generated helps with university projects.
We do operate on a margin. With every credit hour that we produce, we create a little bit of excess revenue that we use for other projects, some of the building projects and things like that that you see going on campus.
The Board of Regents is expected to take action on the tuition proposals later this month. Even with the proposed increase at FHSU, the university will still maintain the lowest tuition in the state. The talk of roundabouts continue to make the rounds in the Hays community. While the Hays City Commission has taken the initial steps to begin blueprints for the 3 roundabouts on Vine Street, they've also continued discussion about possible roundabouts at other intersections in Hays. Tiger Media Network's Paul Kirkwood sat down recently with Hays officials to talk about developing roundabouts on Vine Street.
Vine Street in Hays is about to be home to 3 new roundabouts. Since 2001, the City of Hays has conducted various traffic studies, and their conclusion has led to the proposal of the 3 roundabouts. I talked to City Project Manager John Brown and Director of Public Works Jesse Rohr to find out more.
We had a traffic impact study done on Vine Street in the area of the old Ambassador Hotel, and in probably around July of 2016 is when the consultant suggested a roundabout at 32nd and 33rd Street. And then by February of 2017 is when they proposed the roundabout corridor of 3 roundabouts that we've recently presented to the public and to the City Commission.
There's actually several benefits to roundabouts in general, including the ones that we're proposing here in Hays. One of those primary benefits being improved safety. Since roundabouts typically tend to decrease congestion in the area, we have an overall improved safety factor that's involved with the construction of roundabouts. Roundabouts generally provide better access onto and off the main street and side streets, as well as adjacent businesses.
The locations currently proposed are at the offset intersection of 32nd and 33rd Street. That would be an elongated roundabout that would cover both intersections. And then there would be one common regular roundabout, a 2-lane roundabout at what we call 37th Street, which is the access to the old Ambassador Hotel on the west side, the Golden Ox truck stop and the Super 8 Hotel on the east side. And then just north of the interstate, where 41st Street and Mopar intersects right now with right-in, right-outs only, kind of in the area of Applebee's, and that would be a roundabout there that would get rid of that right-in, right-out and allow for full access if you're heading east toward Home Depot or toward Applebee's.
For TMN News, I'm Paul Kirkwood.
The annual Great Plains on the Great Plains event took place Saturday at Hays Regional Airport. The event features a close-up look at several types of aircrafts and a bit more. And this year featured skydiving from a group from Kansas State. Tiger Media Network's Ju-Win Sue captured some of the sights and sounds from this year's event.
plane. And they do train to search on the ground. That is an infrared camera. If someone is trying to hide on the ground, it picks up body heat.
One going in for the ride, and then the one in the back is probably steering it all.
A long-awaited meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un finally happened. The two leaders met in Singapore to discuss the two countries' future and denuclearization. Trump hailed the meeting as a start to North Korea's denuclearization, but some still remain skeptical of Kim Jong-un's intentions. It was the first ever meeting between U.S. and North Korean leaders and was viewed by many to be the start of curbing North Korea's nuclear capabilities. Those are the stories making headlines in the world of news this week. After we return from the short break, Haley will be here with your sports updates.
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
Anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.
The talented prospect Lael Collins from LSU.
For a touchdown by Mike Evans.
The Canadian Football League's Edmonton Eskimos welcomes former FHSU running back Shaquille Cooper to their roster. Cooper signed with the Eskimos in March as a free agent, and after a standout performance in preseason play, Cooper earned himself a spot on the team. With only playing 3 seasons at FHSU, Cooper rushed for 2,768 yards. He matched FHSU alum Terry Blassingame's school record of yards per carry with 6.1 yards per attempt. Cooper was only one of 13 Tigers to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. Here's a look at the running back's more memorable plays as a Tiger.
Cooper and Cooper into the seam, and Cooper is in for 6. Lightning has struck from 31 yards out.
You can catch Cooper and the Edmonton Eskimos opening the season Thursday night versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 7:30 Central Time on ESPN2. The Tiger volleyball team landed a junior college All-American and a top high school player of the upcoming season. Head coach Jessica Wood-Atkins signed Brianne Becker as a setter. Becker played the last 2 years at Neosho County Community College. Becker helped Neosho to a 28-12 record as a sophomore last season. She grew up in Pratt. Isabel Reynolds will join the Tigers after finishing her senior year at Andover High School. She was a KVA All-State second-team selection in Class 5A. Reynolds was an outside hitter and was the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League 2 MVP. In local dirt track racing action, there's nobody hotter right now than Garrett Hager. The Hayes driver won his 4th hobby stock feature in a row Saturday night at RPM Speedway in Hayes. That has him atop the point standings in the division. Waukeene's Dylan Sherfick is also having a strong season. Sherfick picked up his 2nd win in a row in the modified class and leads the mod point standings by 11 points. Selden's Jason Rogers grabbed his 3rd consecutive top 4 finish in the stock car class. Rogers won Saturday night's feature, giving him 2 wins in the last 3 races. Collier's Blaine Walt snagged his 3rd sport mod victory of the season in 4 tries, and Russell's Toby Schween edged his son for the first win the sport compact class. Racing returns to RPM Speedway on June 23rd. The Hayes Larks are continuing their winning ways. The Larks had another solid weekend of baseball at Larks Park. Here's Tiger Media Network's Tristan Sass with a recap from the weekend.
After a strong 4-1 start to begin the season, the Hayes Larks returned home on Thursday for a 4-game homestand to look to continue their winning ways. Over the 4-day stretch, the Larks faced off against the Great Bend Batcats and hosted the El Dorado Broncos in a 3-game series. On Thursday, the Larks took on conference rival Great Bend. The Batcats took an early lead due to a 2-run home run, but the Larks evened the score in the fourth. Both teams added a run soon after, but Hayes scored a go-ahead run in the bottom of the eighth and held on for a 4-3 victory. Winners of 4 straight, the Larks hosted El Dorado on Friday. Hayes struggled early and fell behind 3-0 in the top of the second inning. The Larks added a run in the sixth, but it wasn't enough as the Broncos snapped Hayes' 4-game winning streak by a score of 5-1. After an offensive struggle on Friday, the Larks came ready to play on Saturday. Hayes took a 1-0 lead in the first inning and never looked back. By the end of the fourth, the Larks' lead had grown to 6-0. The Broncos ended the shutout with a pair of runs in the fifth, but Hayes continued to extend its lead and went on to win 10-2. On Sunday, the Larks were able to overcome an early 2-run deficit and storm back with 4 unanswered. El Dorado was able to tie the game at 4 in the sixth, but Hayes scored a run in the bottom half of the inning and went on to win by a score of 5-4 and take the series. After the weekend, the Larks moved to 7-2 on the season, including 4-1 in conference play, to sit alone atop the Jayhawk League standings. Up next, Hayes will travel to Liberal to take on the BJs in a 3-game series beginning on Tuesday. The Larks will be back home next Friday through Sunday when they host the Oklahoma City Athletics in another 3-game series. For more news around Hayes, be sure to stay tuned with the Tiger Media Network. For TMN, I'm Tristan Sass.
On Tuesday night, the Larks' hope for another win was put on hold as their game at Liberal was suspended in the bottom of the 6th inning due to storms. Hayes was leading 6-1. The 2018 FIFA World Cup begins Thursday in Russia. It will be the 21st World Cup in history and is an event featuring 32 of the world's best men's soccer teams. The tournament, which takes place every 4 years, consists of group play before advancing into the knockout phase. The championship game is set for July 15th. Germany is defending World Cup champion. The U.S. men's national team failed to qualify for this year's tourney. Despite a tie at Portland on Saturday, Sporting Kansas City remains atop the MLS Western Conference standings. A banged-up Sporting KC team played to a scoreless tie. That came after a span of 3 matches in less than a week, including a win against Real Salt Lake in Open Cup play. That win put Sporting in the next round of the Open Cup against FC Dallas this Saturday at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. Sporting has 8 wins, only 2 losses, and 5 ties so far this season. The Golden State Warriors are NBA champs again. The Warriors swept LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers last week to win their 2nd straight crown and 3rd in the last 4 seasons. It was the first time since 2007 the NBA title was decided by a sweep. Kevin Durant was named the Finals MVP. On Saturday, Justify became the 2nd Triple Crown winner in 3 years. Justify became the 13th horse to reach the sport's highest honor, winning the Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes, and Belmont Stakes. He led the entire race Saturday at Belmont to match the American Pharoah's feat 3 years ago. American Pharoah's Triple Crown in 2015 was the sport's first in 37 years. And finally, in hockey, the Washington Capitals defeated the Vegas Golden Knights in the best-of-7 series to claim the NHL crown last week. The Capitals needed only 5 games to clinch the Stanley Cup over a team competing in the first NHL season. That's all we have for this episode. Check back next week for another TMNtv Newscast. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until next week, remember, roar Tigers.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus, so presidential announcements, Student Government Association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hayes community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is the land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at.
This is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.